Aung San Suu Kyi spent years under house arrest, living in her lakeside residence in Yangon, becoming an icon for democracy, not just here in Myanmar, but around the world. Now she spends much of her time here in Naypyidaw, in this gargantuan capital symbolised by these parliamentary buildings behind me. This is an election year, potentially the freest election this country has seen in more than 50 years, that could make her president. But will the generals who still wield influence thwart her ambition? There has obviously been some disappointment, I would say, perhaps because of too high expectations about quite where Myanmar is today. Are we still in a parody of democracy? Have we gone far beyond that? How would you assess
No, we haven't
the
gone
state?
far beyond that. I think, as I said before, it is dangerous, particularly because it's not a real democracy. But there are many who would like to believe, or who would like to pretend that it is a real democracy. And of course, that makes it much difficult to bring about change. We have this very well-known saying in Burmese, which I keep repeating to people: it's very difficult to wake up those who are pretending to be asleep.
Right. Are you disappointed with with the speed of the process? Do you think it has stalled? Some people say that things have stalled.
Things have stalled, but I don't think disappointed is the word, because we were prepared for such developments. That's why I talked about a parody of democracy.
Right. And just could you tell us why this democracy is a parody? I mean, I know some of the
Well,
reasons.
it starts with the Constitution, of course, and people keep saying that all these changes that have come across, it's been such a surprise and it's so amazing, but it's not as amazing as all that. I think we need to look back at the roadmap that they published in 2003, the 7-step roadmap, and this is just the 7th step of that roadmap. So there's nothing surprising about that. They said that the 7th step was to establish or work towards disciplined democracy in accordance with the results of the 6th step, which was the elections they held in 2010.
Right. Which aspects of the stalling particularly upset you?
I won't say that any step particularly upsets me, but I would like to put it this way. What makes it very obvious that they're stalling is the fact that there's a reluctance to amend the Constitution.
And what about the specific amendment or article of the Constitution that does prevent you from becoming president? I mean, do you think
that
will
says
be...
that, yeah, that's 59F you're talking
Yes.
about, that anybody whose spouse or whose children or whose daughters or sons-in-law have taken up foreign nationality are debarred from the presidency.
Yes, but can that be overturned in time? Is what I'm asking.
Anything can be amended in time. After all, it's just something that's written into the Constitution.
Are you confident that it will be?
Oh, I'm sure it'll change.
You're sure it will
Yes,
change?
but when, I cannot say. But this kind of clause cannot exist forever. I would like everything settled before the elections, because that's best. That means that the elections will be calmer, more peaceful, then we can go forward with confidence that there will be no unhappy upsets along the way. But you know that constitutions can be changed in many different ways, because they are not something that has been carved into the earth.
How important is it for this country for you to become president, do you think? I mean, is there a lot riding on this? Are you the right person to lead this country?
I don't think these questions can really be answered until years and years have passed. It's always history that decides, and history never decides sometimes. They go on, otherwise historians would be out of job. People go on discussing these matters way into the future. So I don't think I can say that my becoming president or not becoming president will make certain changes to the future of this country.
Is there another possible way? I mean, is there a power sharing agreement? Is there a deal that could be done with the speaker? Could you become speaker? I mean, which is also a very powerful position. Is that something that we should rule out?
I don't think we should talk about these things in advance, but on the other hand, I'm very much in favour of negotiations. I think one can sort out a lot of problems through negotiations. Basically, I think that the Constitution was written out of a sense of fear. And these are the fears that we need to address.
If you did have a leadership position, let's say you were president, what kind of policies would change? I mean, first of all, in terms of, are you wedded to the idea of federalism as a way of settling?
Yes. I'm not saying that federalism will settle all our problems, but I don't think we can start settling them without federalism, because that's very important in order to reassure our different ethnic nationalities that they all have a place in this country, that they all have a stake in the future of this country.
So, do you think there needs to be a kind of a settling of the past? Because this is always a question when you have a transition, how much do you look back at the past and dig up maybe uncomfortable things, threaten people that have maybe done quite well out of the past, the vested interests, the crony capitalists? Or how much do you say, well, you know, as unpleasant as all that was, we must move on, and we must leave some of that and just kind of
concentrate on the future? I believe in moving on, which does not mean that moving on to more corruption. We have to move on, because I don't think we can tie ourselves to the past forever. The past is there for us to learn from, not for us to be shackled by it. And I do want to give everybody a chance to redeem themselves, either economically or otherwise.
Do you feel that you have spoken out enough for minorities, ethnic or religious, who are being persecuted?
I don't exactly know what you mean by spoken out enough, but we've always held to the norms of human rights as laid down by the United Nations Declaration of Human Rights. And also, we have always tried to do everything possible to promote harmony between the two communities, rather than to widen the gap between them.
Do you feel that there are elements that are deliberately whipping this up?
Not just in Rakhine, but I think in some cases they have used religion for political purposes.
Do you feel you're still getting the support from the West? I mean, are the Americans, are the British being principled enough in supporting, you know, your right to be elected president, if that, of course, is the will of...
But that's not I want to support it. I just want them to support genuine democratization and not pretend that reforms that do not exist are in place.
And do you think they are in danger of pretending? Or
Some are pretending. I don't think the British are.
But does that mean the Americans might be?
I think the Americans tend to take a more optimistic view of the situation.